Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I am Anika Shehzad, a representative of government, and today we have Mr. Munir, a forestry engineer, Mr. Shafayat on the behalf of motorists, and Mr. Akram on the behalf of citizen of our country. I thank all of you for your precious time. Well, today we all are here to have a discussion on major border issue, dying forest. As we all are aware how vital trees are for our globe, but unfortunately 20% of trees are dying due to automobile emission. I would like to request our forestry engineer, Mr. Muniz, to express his concern regarding this issue.
Thank you, Anika, for giving me some time. And greetings to all. I'm Dimonur Islamullah. As the leading forestry engineers of this country, so I have informed by the scientists, and also we are assuming that almost 20% of these trees are dying, and day by day the situation getting worse. So over the past few years, we have seen catastrophic fires, tears across the Brazilian Amazon, and the main reason behind the dying forest is the automobile emissions. So this is increasing emissions from the transportation sector are contributing factors to domestic air pollution, global climate change that leads to resulting shortened lifespan of plant. So it's estimated that within 4 years, around 60% of the trees in our countries forest will be killed or damaged if the automobile emissions are not reduced. So based on my perspective, I think I have come out a solution that the government has to reduce the speed limit up to 70 kilometer per hour throughout the country so that the automobile emissions will be reduced significantly and we can save the trees and save our country as well as.
Thank you so much, Mr. Munir, for your suggestion. Well, citizens are the main victim of dying forest. So we have Mr. Akram as a representative of citizen community. Mr. Akram, what would you say about the issue as you are the most affected due to dying forest?
First of all, thank you, Anika, for giving me the chance to speak among everyone and warm greeting everyone. So, of course, this is an alarming issue that obviously we all have seen the news, and we know that it's very critical decision. Nowadays, everybody talking about it and how it's going on to affect on our life, in our really daily lives. In my point of view, we have thoughts as a citizen. We do not really think as Mr. Monirul just talked right now. For me, for instance, I have thoughts of some solutions that could be solved the problem. Let me speak loudly and share it with you here, guys. Nowadays, we have a lot of raising company, right, that provided electricity car. So maybe the government can be helped to provide and given a hand to support for buying the electricity car or maybe reduce the price. Maybe by making them cheaper than are now. So that is will help us and will help the environment, I guess. Another cheaper solution that is that the government should also increase the number of public transportation that is provided the country also and make it them cheaper so that everybody would just simply use the public transportation instead of going to their own cars. Simply more people and fewer cars. Also, maybe the government can put a fine on those who don't stop their cars when the light is red. So there may be strict rules, set as strict rules, sometimes that every citizen must stop their car whenever the traffic lights are red. Fine will be paid, and if not, so we have to pay the fine, right? So all of this are my suggestion for the solving the problem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akram. It is a saying that a problem well stated is a problem half solved. So, Mr. Akram, what will you say about the speed limit our scientists estimated? Will it going to be beneficial?
Well, I see it's a very good solution, but my concern is that are people going to accept it? I don't think so. In my opinion, it's like that. It's more voluntarily work, I guess. So maybe there is a fine if we set like if the government set a fine or something on those who don't follow the rules. In this case, yeah, I totally agree with that. But surely, if not, it would be hard belief to that citizens are uh, going to apply it or something.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akram. So, Mr. Shafayat is our motorist, and I would like to request him to express his opinion from the concern Mr. Munir and Mr. Akram expressed and about their suggestions.
Thank you, Anika Shahjat, for giving me a chance to give my light on this point, on this matter. I thank every participant for giving a speech on this matter. Mostly, Munir suggested a rule that is 70 hours per limit, and Akram also giving another perspective on his matter, yeah, restricting the rules. I agree with I agree both of them, but mostly our freedom will be hampered on this manner. Munir said that we have to be speed limit about 70, but mostly our cars and motorbikes all are more than 70. So that's really hampering that's really hampering our freedom, and that's not a solution for in my perspective. More like the traffic jam and the signal that we face during this time, during the traffic signal, that's really hampering our engine, and motorbikes and every other vehicles have to wait, and their engine will be turned on during this time. So the ammunition will continue until we have a proper solution for transportation system. So more like restricting our transportation to have a better place. We need to make a better transportation to stop the ammunition of the motor vehicles. And for Amir Akram, it's really for Akram perspective, it's really mentionable that every rule should be followed. Yeah, there if any motor vehicle owner breaks the rule, then he should be fined properly. Yeah, we also agree with that. And yeah, that's really quite the matter that uh, our problem is not about the rules mostly. Our problem is with the transportation system and the roads that we follow. Those we can see that around around 30% of the problem in the for deforestations or our transportation system is caused by transportation roads. So those roads should be fixed, and we should have a better transportation system where there is no delay or traffic jam during those times. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shafayat, for sharing your opinion and alternative solutions for the problem. I would like to ask Mr. Munir some other solution, as our motorist doesn't agree on speed limit solution, as they are concerned about their freedom. And what would you say about the issue and solution proposed by the citizen of imposing fine and about electric car?
All right, Anika. Once again, thank you, and thanks all the participants. We all are concerned about the situation. It's very understandable, as you are human, and also from the scientist, forestry engineer. As a scientist, we are not only thinking for us. We also thinking for the citizens and also the motorists. So I really appreciate for their better suggestions, and and good ideas that we can implement. But as Mr. Akram is a citizen representative, he already mentioned that we can implement it, the electric car or hybrid car, so that we can reduce the emissions. But it's a good idea, and currently we are implemented this solution, but it's not can be implemented in overnight, so it must take time. But it's an alternative solution. Uh, and also you mentioned about the to reduce the private vehicle and increase the public transportations. So I don't think so it's very appropriate for all the citizens, because it's also it's also the citizens are not, I don't think they are not accepting the conditions, because now the current age and the most of the majority of the citizens, they have the private transportation. And also the I know the public transportation, if we increase, then we can limit the private vehicle. But due to the COVID-19, also you can see the current situation, and we are in the current in the higher industrial revolution 4.0. So a majority of the person, they prefer to have a private vehicle. And also Mr. Akram mentioned to monitor the speed limit. So yeah, currently we are monitoring the speed limit. That's why we came out a solution to reduce the speed limit around 70 km/h, so that every human can consider to save our world, to save drying the forest, and everyone can live a peaceful life. And one of our motorist, Mr. Shafet, so he also gave some good idea and suggestions. So I really appreciate him. He I agree for his support, but the problem is for the speed and the fine. So as the motorist, it depends on the motor driver, actually, the speed limit. So as the government and the regulatory board, they will monitor everything for the speed limit and the violation. But for the motorist, I don't think so. They don't have to worry about the speed limit monitor, but uh, they have to propose as much another way how can we solve this issue. But I accepting the speed limit violation rules and regulation. And we can also implement, and we can give some proper solution. As a scientist, we create a proper land use of planning techniques, can offer the first aid and most feasible solution to the deforestation, so that we can save our trees. Also we can use the forest harvesting and site capability, and lot of ideas we can implement it for to reduce the emission. As I have raised an issue to reduce the speed limit up to 70 km/h. So I think it's a very appropriate appropriate issue, and I hope the citizens will accept this issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Munir, for showing your strong opinion on a research perspective. As some of the things are really hard for government to implement due to lots of restriction. Mr. Akram, you proposed the idea of public transport, but it's challenging to convince citizens to use public transport in modern days. Although we restrict of buying cars, it will also be against the freedom as highlighted by Mr. Shafat. I would like to inquire some of the solution our motorists Mr. Shafat suggests. I want to know about your opinion.
Thank you again, Anika, for for this. And for me, I totally agree with Shafayat about the speed limit. It's really will cause some problem for us as a citizen, because the road is different. Some road is high, some road is need to have a different road. So in my opinion, it's more practical if we just leave it for the motorist and for his mind, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you all of you for your suggestions and alternative solutions. I think the idea of having different speed limit in different roads would be okay, as suggested by the engineers, as it will be easy for the government to implement and make the citizens to follow these rules. What about you guys? Are you guys agree with this solution, or do you have any other solution for this problem?
Actually, in my perspective, I think it is preferable for us to use public transport, as Moni mentioned. But the most problem is, from my view of from my point of view, people refuses to use public transport because of its inefficiency. So mostly you see that the scheduling is not perfect, or the public car doesn't come on time, or overcrowded. So during this time, that's why people mostly use the private cars or private motor vehicles for their daily needs. So imposing on the speed limit is still not in my concern. I doesn't fully agree with this one. This is not a proper solution to solve this matter. Moreover, if we could, if we
No,
could, yeah.
sorry, I'm not talking about the public transport. I'm asking about the rule of having different speed limits in different roads. Like there's a highway that the speed limit should be 70, but in the city area, the speed limit should be restricted to 50.
Yeah, I can agree with this one, because in the highway mostly there is like lots of kilometers between them, between the breaks. So that's why you need a proper speed to cross those barriers. So that's why there should be a proper speed limit based on the road, and also based on the environment you mentioned.
Yeah, it will be easy for the government to implement and for the citizens to follow the rules. So
Yes,
the
I
early
agree with.
community. Yeah. What about you, Akram?
And also I want to add one more. Sorry for interrupting. We want to reduce the speed limit is 70 km/h. It's not very unpractical. It's really standard for all of the citizens, because we also think about the citizens and motorists. If the speed limit we will fix 100 or more than 100, maybe it's really risky for the citizens. So that's why we are the scientists. We are totally agree to for this statement and for this issue and the suggestion to implement by the government.
What about you, Akram? Are you agree as a citizen of imposing different speed limits in different roads?
Yes, I totally agree about that. And beside all of this, I strongly agree about the public transportation. It's very important to increase public transportation and make it more cheaper than now, to give a chance for all the citizens to use it instead of use their own cars. I get, and I guess this will solve a problem, not as Mr. Manuel said before. The citizen maybe prefer to use their own cars. For me as a citizen, if if I can use public transportation, I would rather than go with public transportation than use my own car. Why? Because it's more safe and more easy to use, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
easy to have like the
Yes,
public.
I'm totally agree with Mr. Akram.
I'm also agree. Currently, we can see that most of the public transport has air condition, and also they have a faster like train, MRT, LRT. So they are really
Yes,
quite first
exactly.
for our transportation. Yeah, and mostly we can see
Yeah.
that some of the job holders also use them to go to their job destination. So it's really quite usable.
Yes, exactly. That's the big point.
Yes, exactly. Thanks so much. As a government representative, I will take all of your suggestions into consideration. And thank you so much, guys, for your time. Thank you.
Them.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys.